Hello, everyone again. The time now is 5:05. I would like to officially start our meeting. My name is Ayabami Bell Torrance, and I am the Outreach Manager for DDOT. So again, thank you all for joining us tonight for our community input meeting. I would like to extend a special welcome for anyone joining us for the first time. We do have several updates to provide you tonight and look forward to hearing from you as well. And I would like to start now with our introductions, which are in no particular order. Mr. Vincent.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Tony Vincent, Assistant Director of Operations.
Mr. Staley.
My apologies. Good evening, everyone. Michael Staley, Executive Manager, Paratransit.
Thank you. Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Rick Brown, Transit Chief.
Mr. Yamakura.
Rickiano, Capital Projects Manager.
Mr. Patrick.
Microphone. Steve Patrick, Executive Manager, Service Development and Scheduling.
Thank you. Ms. Miller.
Alicia Miller, DDOT's Compliance Manager.
Thank you. Ms. Williams.
Jasmine Williams, Customer Service Supervisor.
Thank you. Ms. Copeland.
Good evening, Chantel Copeland, Employee Health and Safety Specialist.
Thank you. And Ms. Chandler.
Roberta Chandler, District Superintendent of Shoemaker Terminal.
Thank you. I'm going to turn now to the marketing team who is assisting tonight. Ms. Lukowski.
Hi, Kristen Lukowski from Marketing.
And Mr. Jordan.
Kyle Jordan, also from Marketing.
Thank you. Thank you all. I believe that is everyone that I see at this time. So that means time now for our meeting rules. As everyone, as customary, everyone is allowed 2 minutes to speak. That's following the presentation, and I'll announce when that time is up. Just ask that you please respect that time and note that you may be muted for going over. As always, no personal attacks or foul language will be tolerated as verbally or in the chat. And we kindly ask that you please limit the chat to providing comments or questions for this meeting. And as we begin this presentation, we also have a few reminders. Excuse me, my screen was doing just a little weird thing, so 1 second. By participating in the Zoom meeting, you are granting permission for your name, image, likeness, as well as audio and video recordings to be used by DDOT. To request to comment, you can simply use the raise hand feature. And if you are using the dial-in only phone option, enter *9 to serve as that raise hand feature to request to speak or ask a question. You'll be able to submit questions or comments to DDOT staff in the chat, and that will be open following the presentation. Before asking a question or commenting, please be sure to unmute your audio, state your name and organization, and following your comments, please mute your audio. Turning now to our updates. The Token Transit app is your opportunity to access all your DART Regional Pass features, including some new upgrades with Token Transit. Now, the Token app replaced Passport, and all remaining fares should have automatically transferred to the new app. You can download the app from the App Store or Google Play. You would create an account, add your payment method, and to learn more, you can go to our website, which is detroitmi.gov, that's /DDOT. Or for concerns or comments, you can call customer service 313-933-1300. Updates from service development and scheduling. Effective Monday, April 24th, the timetables will change to better reflect actual travel times on the following routes. That's the 17 8-mile, 27 Joy, 32 McNichols, 38 Plymouth, and the 52 Shane. Now, all weekday daytime trips on 16 Dexter will serve both the WCCCD terminal and the Northland terminal. Trip times will be adjusted similar to the night and weekend service. Also, effective Monday, April 24th, additional afternoon trips will be approximately 1 hour later on the following routes. That's the 15 Chicago Davidson, 27 Joy Road, 38 Plymouth, 39 Puritan, 41 Schaefer, and 43 Schoolcraft. Moving to DDOT Reimagined, DDOT continues to prepare for the next phase of DDOT Reimagined. Now, the draft plan will be shared to the public in the coming months. DDOT will host several pop-up events at key locations throughout our system. You can learn more about DDOT Reimagined by simply going to detroitmi.gov/DDOT Reimagined. The Coolidge Terminal Replacement Project. If you didn't know, DDOT plans to construct a new bus maintenance, storage, and operations center at the existing Coolidge Terminal site. A public hearing was held on February 16th to present the findings of the environmental assessment and receive public comments for the project. The public comment period ended on March 2nd. Now, if you would like to learn more about the project, including that public hearing presentation, it's available at detroitmi.gov/Coolidge. And of course, DDOT is still hiring. The good news is that DDOT currently has 21 students in training. 16 students are training behind the wheel. 2 students are in CDL prep, and 3 students are driving in revenue service. 15 students have completed training since February 1st, 2023. And our next class is expected to start Monday, March 20th. DDOT is also hiring non-driving positions. For more information about DDOT employment opportunities, you can visit detroitmi.gov, again, /DDOT, or you can use that QR code you see on the screen. And DDOT is an equal opportunity employer. And I'll always give a few moments here for anyone who would like to scan it who have not seen it before. Okay, and speaking of hiring, 4 transit officers have been hired so far this year. 2 officers are starting orientation on Monday, and transit police is also in the process of doing background checks on 10 new candidates. Our safety division would like to report that DDOT will be participating in a Train the Trainer event for an active shooter through the Active Violence Emergency Response Training. And here's a look at the monthly performance report for Paratransit for February. And we'll go through this one moment. Let me make my screen a little bit bigger so I can see. I'm going to start with Big Star. Under safe service regarding accidents, there were 0 preventable, 0 non-preventable, and 0 injuries. Under reliable service, that's on-time performance, 93% weekday, 90% Sunday, 93% Saturday, and 94% total. Under customer service, customer-oriented service, out of 5,600 trips, 15 complaints were taken, 14 were valid, and 1 was found invalid, and 1 was considered late. Now, the service provider has 5 days to respond to a complaint. Beyond that time period, then it's considered late. So that's what that means. Turning now to Delray, there were 0 preventable accidents, 1 non-preventable, and 0 injuries. When it comes to on-time performance, that's 94% weekday, 97% Sunday, 91% Saturdays, and 93% total. Out of 3,213 trips, 6 complaints were taken, 6 were found valid, 0 invalid, and 0 were late. For Mo, There were 0 preventable accidents, 0 non-preventable, and no injuries. For on-time performance, that's 94% weekday, 91% for Sundays, 90% on Saturdays, and 94% total. Out of 4,467 trips, 9 complaints were taken, and all 9 were considered valid. Next slide, please. Under PEX, for accidents, there's 0 preventable and 0 non-preventable, which means 0 injuries. For on-time performance, that's 94% weekday, 90% Sundays, 92% Saturday, and 92% total. Out of 4,833 trips, 10 complaints were taken, and all 10 were found valid, and 0 were considered late. When it comes to DDOT, the thing that is examined here is regarding customer-oriented service. 21 complaints taken, all 21 were valid, and 0 were considered late. For the system total, again, 0, that sums it up as 0 preventable, 1 non-preventable, and 0 injuries. For on-time performance, that's 93% weekday, 93% Sunday, 91% Saturday, and 93% total. Out of 113 trips, 61 complaints were taken, 60 were considered valid, 1 was considered invalid, and 2 were late. And under cost, can you go back one moment? This was the last column regarding for the system total. That's the cost effective service. Again, that number of trips is 18,113 trips per 10,055.09 hours. So 1.1 for weekday, 1.79 for Sunday, 1.58 for Saturday, and 1.80 for total. Turning now to our operations, the performance dashboard, the January numbers, which are also on the website. For the ridership is 795,827. The on-time performance weekday is at 65%. For the average weekday pullout for AM was at 95%, and the average weekday pullout for PM was 95%. So if you didn't know, Saturday, March 18th is National Transit Driver Appreciation Day, and that's a great opportunity to say thanks for all that they do. And if you would like to share some kind words, you can complete our form and we'll make sure the driver gets the message. And we'll also provide a link for you later on in the chat that you can fill out the form and share some great words. So we hope that you will take advantage of that and say thanks. For our upcoming meeting, our next community input meeting will take place Thursday, April 20th at 5 p.m. That is all the updates. You can always stay up to date on our website. Again, most of the information is at detroitmi.gov/DDOT. And please follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at RideDDOT. That is all that I have from now. I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Kristen, to call our first person with their hand raised, and give me a moment and we'll have the chat open as well. Thank you.
Okay, give me 1 second. The first hand up is Mr. Cunningham.
Greetings, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Alrighty. So I give out hand warmers at the bus stops, and people are pretty appreciative of it. And I give out bus tickets, the regular bus tickets I buy, and the reduced ones. So some people have Medicare cards, they're walking with a walker and stuff like that, or scooter. The first thing I ask them, do they have a Medicare card? A lot of them do. There's a few people who are don't get out that much, and I actually bring it to them since I'm out and about a lot. Down at the Rosa Parks Transit Center, as cordial and nice as I'm usually the case, I keep a digital recorder on me because I'm a little eccentric and I don't want anyone to say anything that I said, what I said and didn't say. And Chief knows, I've told him in the past, that, you know, I have a 72-hour digital recorder. I went down there and they told me the higher ups, they said the words, the higher ups say that we can only sell you 2 bus tickets a day. I said, first it was $10, then it was $5. So I don't know if it's just them saying what they're saying, or this is revenge for my activism. I'm not sure, Oglesby, Staley, I don't know. The mayor's office, I go to the mayor's meeting and fuss about the buses there too, but I've been doing that for a decade. But I do know folks take retaliation, and the clerks down there were very rude. I don't have this issue with SMART, and hopefully whatever horrible activity won't spread too SMART in my dealings. The bus system seems to get a little bit better. I have to say that it's the Grand River and a few other ones, and I usually make money because the buses are terrible. The more terrible the buses are, the more people just woe out. It's like throwing the white flag and like, yeah, I gotta go home, I'm tired. I've been noticing that the Grand River is less of that. So I guess that bonus for people showing up on time and showing up to work is starting to take effect. I don't know if anybody can talk to that. Do they see a change in the attendance, et cetera? Is it starting to take effect officially?
Mr. Cunningham, that's 2 minutes.
Thank you. And I know, Mr. Cunningham, you know, you reached out offline. I know that matter that you brought up regarding Rosa Parks Transit Center is being investigated, and you should have, if not received a call today, you will be receiving one soon regarding that matter.
Yeah, I can speak on the service levels. So, you know, I appreciate you noticing that service is getting better. We are trying really hard every day to make sure all of our service is getting out. We are seeing slight improvements in attendance as well.
Thank you.
Okay,
next-
hold on. He asked a bunch of questions. It seems like staff doesn't want to answer them, so I will. The first question was about the bus tickets, the process, so on and so forth. There was no directive from either myself and or Mr. Staley, and there is no retaliation. So I want to be on the record by saying that. I will say that I am aware that this question did come up, and I believe through Ayabami it was forwarded to the finance department because they have a policy that they have been working on, and apparently what they were doing went against their own policy. Somebody was supposed to contact you and explain that to you. After this meeting, I will get off the phone and find out who was supposed to talk to you about what's taking place, but it had nothing to do with your activism. As a matter of fact, I applaud it and need more of it. Without you, I wasn't able to move forward and get some of the improvements that you are seeing now, which is better service, because we're providing the same amount of service levels that we did last year with 100 less operators, because yes, the attendance policy is working. The operators understand the importance and care. They're picking up overtime to fill these routes, coupled with the fact that the planning department, and Mr. Petrovic can speak to this better than anybody else, has been focusing on providing more service during the hours that the complaints have been, which is later in the day and towards the nighttime. So we are focusing, we're moving forward, but the two have nothing to do with one another as far as handing out tickets.
Okay, great, thank you. The next hand up, Ms. Stewart.
Good evening, Director Oldsby, Ms. Torrance, and the rest of the DDOT staff. Mine is, what's up with marketing? Where's your team on how to increase turnout? Announcements are not adequate. Communication is not becoming of a transit system. We need to have a little bit more a heads up on, like when the transit center moved, and with the app for the tickets now. We need discrimination of information, who's getting what, when. Customer service reps need effective communication, training, commitment to hiring disabled individuals in the paratransit department. DDOT needs to implement courteous professional in their work and interaction with riders, especially the customer service reps. Lack of that professionalism in the culture is not good. And it's need for ongoing training, coaching as a disciplinary practice. Everybody's silent now.
I think, wait, to make sure you still had some time. So we're making sure.
I'm finished.
Thank you.
Well, I'm hoping that staff answers something.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it as Melvin Barkley, Deputy Director for Operation Maintenance. I want to address the customer service aspect. We do teach customer service to our operators in training, and we do a yearly refresher training for all operators in customer service. And anytime you're receiving any bad customer service from operators, please let us know. We will review video to see it, and then when we do notice it, we will take action on that.
That's what I'm getting from a lot of riders when I'm talking to them.
Okay.
When I'm out.
So please let them know to call 1300, 1300. Then the customer service will get that video pulled, and we will address it when we have it.
Okay, and what about a commitment to hiring some disabled individuals in that paratransit department?
Yeah, if I can speak to that.
When you have them and they can give you their comments and their concerns, they know better than anybody. And I'm a disabled person too, so I think it would be good to hire some disabled individuals in that paratransit department because they are using that system.
Mr. Staley?
Yes, sir. If I can comment on that, I would encourage people to go to the city website. Periodically, we do have jobs posted. In the not too distant future, we will have postings for customer service reps. So those are the individuals that are taking the reservation calls and booking trips for the next day. So again, please go to the city website and look for those postings under paratransit.
And just one other thing, Director Oldsby, maybe could you commit to having a meeting with us maybe twice a year so we can get riders in and get their perspective and you can give your perspective of what's going on?
Absolutely. No,
Yeah,
you
I'm talking
know.
about with DPP transit team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem with that. Well, we'll get in touch with you offline and set that up. I want to add one more thing to what Mr. Staley said, because I want everybody to fully understand that I was fully committed to move forward and put what we put in place. At that time, we had about 26 openings. And at that time, I think you said the same thing, which is you need to get some people with disabilities in there. And I was very clear that we had postings open and it was open to all. So as we move forward, hiring who we hired, if we don't have, I'm sure we have a few, but if we don't have as many as folks would like, it may be because they didn't apply. So back to what Mr. Staley said, keep your eye. If you know anybody that's interested in helping us and making some money, keep an eye on that website and apply. Because if you don't apply, I can't hire you.
All righty.
Cool.
Everybody have a good evening now.
All right now.
Thank you. The next hand up is Robert.
Good afternoon. Can I be heard?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Apologies. I am actually traveling through Roseville on my way back from Mount Clemens, so a little bus traffic. But good afternoon. My name is Robert Blowski. I represent the Regional Transit Authority Citizens Advisory Committee. I do have some good news, just to piggyback on some comments that were, if anyone did not watch the Board of Directors meeting for the RTA, Director Oglesby gave a brief update on service regarding paratransit and fixed route. Surprisingly, besides the ongoing fight for funding for DDOT through City Council, that budget is approaching the 22nd. I'm actually impressed. I'm seeing really great progress within the service. Director Oglesby is making the proper improvements that need to be done in the system to improve it. And I'm just glad to see the amazing work come to life. Hopefully, by the time we hit September, there will be some good improvements before I leave for the Marines. One of the things I want to mention is the paratransit. Now, this is a question for the director and Mr. Staley. How often are you guys getting that scorecard information from the drivers that do rides every day for riders that do book them? And how often is that coming in? Because I am actually getting information from AAATA, the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority, regarding their paratransit and doing a comparison between your scorecard and theirs. So I just like a little clarification on how often you're getting that information to make sure it's accurate. And the last thing I'd like to mention regarding Transit Appreciation Day, Mr. Jackson out of the Shoemaker Terminal is actually one of my personal favorites. I figured I'd say it on tonight's call since he goes above and beyond for all the riders in the east side of Detroit. So big shout out to him, and I look forward to seeing him on other routes, but he does a wonderful job. But other than that, you guys are making wonderful progress, and I wish you the best of luck, and we'll keep fighting for you to get additional funding in City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Staley is going to obviously answer the question, but I'll answer the question as it pertains to the presentation that was today. So in my presentation, I showed a sample of what the scorecard will look like. I used a recent example of it. I went through it very quickly. And that scorecard is one that we promised, and it's real time. So we have the ability to get the information directly from the software. Now, I will say this, and I'll let Mr. Staley speak just to set this up. We are tracking the performance the way we promised. The way that we will feel comfortable about what we're reporting is after we're done with the RFP process of filling the rest of the 70%. So the 70% that we're filling right now with a makeshift group of companies, we are evaluating them, but it's not a true representation of what we ultimately are telling you we're going to provide. So if you don't recall, you don't remember, we're still in the emergency phase. So yes, we are tracking it the way it needs to be tracked, but the information may seem skewed. It'll show what the performance is of these companies to give us the ability to manage, but it's not a true representation of what we feel we're going to be presenting to the riding public once we complete our process. Mr. Staley?
Yeah, just to piggyback on those comments. Currently, we're capturing operational data every day, most notably on-time performance and customer complaints. We're taking about 3 customer complaints a day. In addition to that, on a weekly basis, there is a document called the Paratransit Performance Tracking Report that's issued every week. We've begun to distribute that more widely than just internally. The executive directors asked me to expand that network, if you will, of individuals who are receiving that weekly report. And it comes right out of the EcoLane scheduling software system, and also comes right out of our complaint log system. So it talks about on-time performance, talks about accidents and injuries, talks about customer complaints, and talks about system productivity. And then, as the executive director indicated, our commitment originally was to produce a quarterly report, and we're on track to do that. That'll come out during the first week of April.
You're doing what you said you asked, and you're doing what you said that you would keep your word to, and I really appreciate that. So keep up the good work. And Mr. Oglesby, we'll touch offline about more of this, and including you, Mr. Staley, but I wish you guys the best of luck and keep it up. Thank you.
No problem. Nice picture, by the way.
Thank you, Robert. The next hand up is Miss Marguerite.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Okay, please read the first part of my complaint. It's in the chat box. Mr. Ogilvy.
I think I can see it. I think I bomb. Can you read that?
Yeah, let me make sure it doesn't jump on me. The first one I see, and excuse me if this is not the first one, but it's saying that you have a problem using the token app.
No, it's the very first
Is another one. Okay, let me go up a little bit more then.
It's the very first one.
Okay, the first one I see is the token app one, and then about the Gratiot.
Yes.
Okay. So the Gratiot, why is the Gratiot bus late on Tuesday? Waited almost 45 minutes at the Eastern Market area. 2 buses were going eastbound.
Yeah, hi, Marguerite, Tony. I need a little bit more information so we can investigate that. If you can give us a bus number and the time of day that you were waiting for that bus, we can take a look and see what happened, okay?
I can't remember the bus number, but I do remember the time. Which was between 2 and 3 o'clock.
So 2 and 3 p.m. and you were, I'm guessing you were waiting to head westbound?
Yes.
Okay. All right, give me a day or so to take a look at that and I'll get back with you.
Okay. And another thing is when the public be able to tour the Coolidge terminal and the state fairground terminal. I'm done. Thank you.
Do we have any, well, I can say for the Coolidge, it'll be quite a while. We're still in the review process. I don't know if Ricky wants to talk more on that, but I know it won't be a tour plan for that anytime soon. I don't know about any updates for State Fair though. Do we have?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. My name is Rickiano, I'm the project manager here at DDOT. And when it comes to the state fairground, it's a fair point. We're in the process right now of finishing off the planning stages, and it's out to bid right now, but it is time for us to get a update to the public. So if that's the question, yes, point taken, we will have that out. And Coolidge Terminal, we did just have a public hearing, but that one is slated for the beginning of 2025, and we're looking for the State Fair Terminal hopefully by the middle of 2024 to be in operation.
Okay. Question. If I would like to be able to take pictures before the grand opening. Is that possible?
I'll answer that. Hi, Marguerite.
Hey,
Hello. Long time no here, but anyway, we won't start with that. We don't have all kinds of time. Hey, so yes, I'm sure we can work something out. It really depends. It really depends on what condition it's in at the time beforehand. But yeah, before the grand opening, no doubt. One thing that I'll do is I'll grab a few folks and give you an opportunity to walk through. And taking pictures won't be a problem as long as they're not, if we're doing a big grand event, I wouldn't want them posted beforehand, but we're a little ways away from that, but I'll remember and we'll walk through. We'll both be excited together. I can't wait.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Marguerite. Renard, you're the next hand up.
Okay, can you folks hear me? Good afternoon or evening.
There you are. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. It's good to see you all. First, thank you, Ayobami and Director and Deputy Director for reaching out to me about the inquiry. I was doing some research for those routes, so I really appreciate that prompt response. I'm just going to go off and say I am noticing more frequent service. Now, my area, I live in Cass Corridor, so my experiences are not the same as everyone else's, but I will say that I do notice a lot more frequency on the Dexter route. That's one of my favorite routes that I use. So just wanted to say that, just noticing a lot more just frequent buses, people able to get around and just keep up the good work. I just hope our drivers aren't getting burned out. Other than that, I had a few questions about the paper passes or the physical passes. Does the machine in the Rosa Parks Transit Center work, and what type of passes are they selling? And then I just wanted to offer a proposal. I think we should be able to buy the DDOT only passes. I believe there are the 7-day and 31-day passes, because some people just, exclusively stay in the city and just use that, and they don't need to transfer to any smart buses. So that might be necessary. And then we need to make sure that we can sell them in other stores, ticket machines, Dollar General, other places where people shop around the city. And I do like the new app. We just probably need some sort of like customer service video, like how to use it and things like that, so people can transition. I had to help with quite a few people, which I don't mind. So that my only complaint is this. I think communication needs to be a lot better with y'all. I think giving 6 days notice for a transfer of an app is not adequate. A weekend notice for moving the transit hub is not adequate as well either. And there needs to be a chain of communication that goes down, because sometimes there's riders that know more than the drivers do. And there just needs to be some sort of clear enough timely advance notice on things so people can be able to transition as well too. Like those apps store people's credit card information, so you got to delete all that, delete the app, and then do all of that. I just think we need more timely notice as well. So the other thing is too, for paratransit, I really appreciate the effort that the department is taking to improve it. There's a lot of improvements, just hearing it in the media, hearing it from people that use the service. And this is what happens when we work together on improving a situation like that. So I just want to commend the department for that. So questions they have: can paratransit passengers be able to use the transit token app as a vendor for payments? And then is there possibly a way that, sorry, never mind about that. I'm going to also ask, when will we be getting some information about the DDOT Reimagined report out, and then opportunity for more meetings? We want to host one with DDOT directly like we did last time and get some really good turnout. So that's the gist of my comments. I don't even remember how many questions I asked, so sorry about that.
A whole lot, Renard, a whole lot.
That was a lot.
No, we appreciate. I mean, I can say quickly, and I know Steve can elaborate. I mean, for the DDOT Reimagined, like I mentioned in the presentation, we are kind of finalizing that draft plan, and we're working on getting out to the public soon. So that will be in the next coming months. It's just some things that we have to get together behind, to make sure that that is ready to go. So that will be coming soon. But we will definitely, like we did before, we will keep you in the loop and, have do something like we did last time. So definitely not opposed to that.
And in terms of the mobile app, it is a fair point to get the conversation out faster and the information faster to the public. We had a little bit of a abbreviated time frame when it comes to when we got the go ahead from City Council, but that is a point taken. It won't happen again. And in terms of the other passes that you would like to have on there, we did want to make the transition smooth. So we do have exactly the kind of a mirror image between the two in terms of what passes are sold, but that's always under investigation. We're trying to see how the revenue versus the fees, we did, as probably your knowledge, we did remove the 15% fee. So we just have to work our way through from that point, and we'll keep you informed as we get further on.
And just to end regarding DDOT Reimagined, that there will be phase 2 outreach. That means we'll be bringing the draft network out to the public for their comments. So that'll be phase 2. So that will consist of pop-up events and a few scheduled events. And so likewise, after that, there'll be a phase 3 with the final network going before the public for final approval. So, and regarding State Fair, we were kind of pushed out of there at the very end, just as the temporary facility was getting ready. And Ricky was out there at midnight. I was out there at 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, we know that was a last minute thing, but fortunately the bus operators took you to the right place to transfer. So we haven't heard of any bad incidents because like about a day later, the bulldozers went through the old facility and tore it up, as you can see. So we apologize for any inconvenience, but we believe it was pretty minimal. And thank you very much for those of you who continue to ride our buses and who went through this inconvenience.
Very good. It was all summed up very well. Hello, Renard. Mike Oglesby here. So I understand the frustration, especially with the quick launching of the app and State Fair. But by the time we brought it to City Council, as Ricky had mentioned, then we got it approved. We immediately let the people know. So it wasn't a situation where it was something that was within our control. The second we got control of it, we let folks know. And that's what happened with State Fair, as Mr. Paratransit said. Once we were alerted, we had to go into overdrive to find an actual location, believe it or not, where it was going to, our transfer area was going to be. Some type of miscommunication with the building of State Fair, which, there were a lot of hands involved with that. And once we got the information, staff stepped up to the plate. As Steve mentioned, Ricky was out there with a safety vest. I mean, we had everybody out there, all hands on deck. So I give kudos to them. But yes, we don't anticipate something like that happening in the future because we're going to keep our eyes open to make sure that we know what's going on all throughout the city to make it happen. Good points.
Thank you, Renard. The next hand up is Jerry Springs. I saw you made a comment in the chat, but if you want to make a comment here.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm Jerry Springs, Community Liaison for Councilmember Fred Durhall III. Our office is still getting complaints or concerns, both from residents in community neighborhood meetings, as well as constituent complaints about the lack of benches and bus shelters in District 7. And my question is, do you have data that would indicate the number of stops that currently do not have benches or bus shelters? And secondly, given that number, have you requested in next year's budget funding that would enable DDOT to place those benches and bus shelters at those bus stops? End of question.
Okay, I'll start, and I may be able to answer the entire question without staff on this one. So we are in the process of doing a full assessment of all of our bus stops because we are moving forward with the initial first 100 bus shelter replacement, AKA bus shelter replacement program. We're moving forward as fast as we can. As you may recall, we had a ARPA replacement fund outreach in which everybody gave input, and we moved forward with the results of what they said. And number one was shelters, and number two were seats. So yes, the funding is already established and approved by City Council. As a matter of fact, I believe Council Member Durhal did approve the funding. It was up to $2 million for shelters. It will apply to the entire service. So we are not just doing District 7. It will be a percentage spread throughout, and we're doing that assessment now. That's one answer. The second answer is yes, we do keep track of the location of all bus stops and bus shelters. We have an individual that does that. Depending on the request, it typically comes through City Council as a letter and we respond. I will talk to staff to see if we can start moving forward with your question, to answer your question based on the inquiry today. But yes, we do have all of that information.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. And the next hand up is Derek Holloway.
Hello, good evening. Much of the comments and have pretty much, and a few suggestions, are pretty much already in the chat typed in. But this question I'm going to ask, I'll pretty much ask verbally. I'm sure those of you in the past remember the Rosedale Express and a few other express routes. I would like to know if in the future that if any of these routes will either be reestablished or more will be added, considering that people, many people do catch the bus downtown, and you also have, people who ride locally and people who just want to get downtown fast. And I think that bringing back the express would increase the popularity of the DDOT service, because you have express buses going up and down and getting people there pretty much faster. So that's pretty much my one question.
Yes, I can address that. We had the phase 1 outreach of DDOT Reimagined, and there were actually very, very few people who requested those express routes, largely because they were rush hour only, and they were, to serve the downtown office complex during rush hour, and that kind of travel has gone way down. Our ridership is much more level throughout the day, rather than having big peaks and valleys in the middle. It's very level. There's a lot of midday travel. So in the new network, we are concentrating largely on having good, consistent service all day long, rather than having special routes that do special things at different times of the day. And given our current situation with the bus operator shortage, it's very, very difficult if you get an operator to drive something that's only for 2 or 3 hours in the morning and 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. Once we have an operator on a bus, we like to keep them there for a good 8 or 9 or 10 hours if we can. So that's one reason why we have not brought these services back, but you are welcome to participate in the next phase of outreach and make your request.
All right then. Also, I'll leave this question Oglesby. I know I expressed this through text, but I'd like to re-express this verbally. There are plenty of buses that still need their fare boxes fixed, either fixed or replaced, preferably replaced. How's that going? Is it going to happen? Yes or no?
I can answer that, actually. So Rickiano, one of the capital project managers here, and that's a project that we have mobilizing right now. We have a project scope that's being written for it, and
the last and only question, fare boxes.
Yeah, that's the fare box replacement is gonna occur. Yes, we will. It's a technology upgrade all holistically all across the
I can
board.
barely hear you guys.
Oh, is it me?
I think it might be on his end, because
Oh,
I
I
can
see.
hear.
Yeah, just frame of reference. If you can see the CC, if you can see the closed captioning, or if you can see the ASL interpreter, it's yes, we are proceeding with it. Yes, we are holistically upgrading. We will be working on that.
Thank you. The next hand up is a phone number ending in 796.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carrie Bradley. I have been riding Metrolift since it started. I haven't rode it since I would say the reorganization, but I've had such excellent response from numerous of my disabled community. I would like to say that I've had complaints about the app. I'm a very good iPhone user, and I promised them that I would download the app so I can see what their problems are. My question to you is, when you designed this app for these disabled people, did you think or consider having different disabled people test this app before you made it widespread? I was asked to test the app. I submitted my name and information. I received no response. The text messages that we do receive, we receive them, we can read them, and they're great. And the city website is not JAWS friendly or voiceover friendly. So therefore, wanting to submit an application has been, it hasn't been done because the site is not JAWS or voiceover friendly. Thank you.
If I can, this is Michael Staley with Paratransit. If I can respond to the question about the app, actually the timing of your question is perfect. What we did when DDOT took over the critical functions of paratransit is we brought the existing app over, and admittedly it's a very small user base, but what we wanted to do after we got through the initial phase of the transition was to begin to expand that user base. So we got some additional funding approved by City Council, and actually the past 2 weeks, I'm supposed to attend the Warriors on Wheels meeting, but they got canceled because of inclement weather. But we're looking for some individuals to do a pilot project, much like what you talked about, so we could get good feedback from people that are actually going to be using the app, so that we make sure that the app is designed in a user-friendly manner. EcoLane has not only some support staff that they'll provide to us as we go through the pilot project, but also some marketing materials that we can use as will. So I'm not sure if we got your name during this conversation, but will you please make sure that we do, because we'll include you in that pilot project.
Okay. What I want to say is this. If you took this app and you put it on an iPhone and you turned on voiceover, which what most blind people use, and most people who do not have the use of hands correctly, you cannot manipulate the buttons because you can't do it on the city website, because I've tried. So what I'm saying is, when you're starting to design this, maybe you should ask the AT guys who specialize in designing equipment, technical for people without vision, and maybe you should ask, it's another organization, I can't think of their initials right now, but they design apps, especially for people with disabilities to use. Because I know if I can't use it, then I know that, and I teach the iPhone, I know that most of the iPhone users will not be able to do this. And soon as I can manipulate the city website, I will submit an application. Thank you. Carrie Bradley is my name, by the way. Your fan, Mr. Ogilvy.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Bradley. That's exactly the kind of input that we need. So we'll rely upon you to give us some additional information of those folks that are familiar with the technology that can help us make sure that we design it properly. Also, EcoLane, who installs paratransit scheduling software throughout the United States. I'm sure they've got extensive experience as well. We just haven't begun to make over, to redo the app that's been in existence. But again, we want to get that pilot project launched in the next couple of weeks.
Fantastic. Thank you for the call. Michael, make sure you keep me abreast of what's going on with this one.
Will do.
Thank you. And the next hand up is A. Howard. Can you unmute yourself and make your comment? Okay, I see you're unmuted, but we don't hear anything. So let's go to number 284, number ending in 284.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
My problem is with that app too, it's not accurate. Every time it says you put the number in, it say it's not in service, but it's still daylight and where the buses still come, but it don't come when it says it's supposed to come. And brother, I want to give brother Cunningham a shout out because he's the reason why I'm on here talking to y'all. I would never know nothing about this but I didn't bump into him. Hello?
We're having a little trouble hearing you, but we think that you said that the tracker, is that the issue you're having? Okay.
Yes. And you need to have more buses out here. 'Cause I'm just not getting off work, and it takes an hour or so for the Jefferson bus to come, and it shouldn't be like that. It should run like Grand River and rest of Main Street. That's my only problem. You did a good job, brother. Hello?
Okay, we received Mr. Barkley, are you going to address?
That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In regards to, we are constantly looking at our routes to see where we have demand at, and we are shifting service there. And we also continue to hire operators so we can have more service out on the road. So just continue to work with us and we will be getting more service out there.
Thank you. A. Howard, are you able to unmute yourself and make your comment?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I do like the Token Transit app. It's easy to use, and I noticed it does not charge that service fee of 16 cents. But I did have a question. Is there an expiration date for the ticket? Like I bought maybe a couple of them I may not use until maybe 3 months from now. Do the tickets last, say, until December 31 of this year? And my last question, when the Grand Prix arrives in June of this year, will the buses be rerouted? Thank you.
I can answer your last question about the Grand Prix. The buses will be rerouted. and it'll take them about a month to set up that track, that racetrack, and then it'll take them several weeks after to take it all down. So for most of our service that's on, instead of Jefferson, it would use the Congress Larned pair, and buses would, different parts of Jefferson would be closed in different phases of the traffic construction. But when it's all over, we'll probably be forced to turn at St. Aubin, coming inbound on Jefferson. So there will be, everything will be posted, of course, for the public at the bus stops and also on the website. So we hope to have advance notice of these closures.
And sorry, I was responding back in the chat, my apologies. So yeah, in terms of the wallet, those passes do last in perpetuity. So there's not an expiration date from that point. They remain in your wallet as value.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. And the next hand up, it looks like a phone 827JT.
Hello, my name is Deborah Hardrick. My issues is the timing of the bus. Also, the app is very slow. And I have an iPhone. It's very difficult to learn how to use it. Someone had to show me how to use it. So, and that's all I wanted to say. And shout out to Brother Cunningham. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Hi, Tony here from operations. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by the timing of the bus is slow?
It's supposed to be at 6:30 or 6:38, something like that, and it don't show up until the next bus. We get the next time. The route, it just don't show up at all. I was waiting on Grand River yesterday, 6:38, and it comes out 7 o'clock. And I work at 6 o'clock every day. Work at Ford Field, walk to Grand River, and the bus never be there on time.
Okay, so you're saying that sometimes that the bus isn't showing up when it's scheduled.
It's not showing up on schedule, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Berkeley said earlier, we do sometimes will have some service issues later at night if we have higher call offs than expected. Our operations team is working really hard together. We have our dispatchers and our road supervisors and our operators all trying to adjust service when that happens. But thanks for bringing that to our attention, and we're going to keep an eye out on it.
All right, I appreciate that because there's a lot of events going on downtown, in the summertime, and there's a lot of workers down there, and that's a lot of the complaints, and they coming in late or getting home late, and so that issue needs to be really, addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. The next hand up I see is Joel Batterman.
Hi, good evening. Joel Batterman, District 5 resident. Just wanted to bring up something that I've mentioned in the past, and it still just really strikes me as I don't know, just continues to irritate me every time I'm down at Rosa Parks. I really think I'm not sure why there is no shelter or more seating at the corner of Michigan and Cass where the Dexter picks up. There are just a few, there's just a tiny bit of seating there, and it's really not sheltered, and that's a fairly major stop. And I know I know there's not a ton of right of way there, and obviously the People Mover is sort of owns the adjacent land. I don't know about the sidewalk, but anyway, just really feel like some consideration could be given to making that a more comfortable spot for riders. Thank you.
As Mr. Oglesby mentioned, we're going to Steve Patronik's Service Development and Scheduling. As Mr. Oglesby mentioned, we're going into a new phase with the shelter and seating program. Now there are over 5,000 bus stops. So if we get 100 new shelters in a year, that's still only a small fraction. But we are looking at where the seating is most needed based on ridership, among other things, and of course the necessary right of way. So if the space is tight, we still have to leave enough room for a footpath for those who are not waiting for the bus to get by. So we're looking at almost every stop in the system, looking at the ridership levels and the availability of space for amenities. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Franklin, I see you just raised your hand. You can go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is well. I'm calling for a few reasons. Nothing really troublesome this time, but we are advocating for more money to go into DDOT's budget. And we're just hoping and praying that a portion of that money will be applied to paratransit for same-day service and also to reinstate the New Freedom program. Many of my members appreciated that program because they have many activities outside of the city limit. I was also glad to hear that there is a plan, and there should have been a plan for rerouting the buses during the Grand Prix. I'm just hoping that that information will be available for people such as the gentleman who works and uses the Jefferson bus so that he will know and be able to schedule how he's going to get home in the evening. So I was glad to hear that. I understand that the process for the RFP ends this Friday. Is that still correct? And if so, we're just following that and to see what happens. And we're hoping that the companies that are already in place who know how the system is operating are some of the providers that will be staying with the service. Thank you. That's really all I have to say this evening.
If I can answer some of those questions, and I'll start with the last one first. So the proposals for the remaining 70% of the complimentary paratransit service are due tomorrow. When we held the pre-bid, there were approximately 20 companies that attended the pre-bid, and those included all of the current service providers, the 5 service providers that are currently operating the service. As it relates to New Freedom, a few weeks ago, DDOT met with Mayor Duggan, and he and the executive director have asked me to look at how we might redesign New Freedom and offer some other enhanced services under the New Freedom program. So we're currently looking at that. We're also working with SMART right now on improving the transfer system. So we've begun to work on the policies. We're also tracking some historical data on the number of people that are currently transferring to Smart Paratransit, so that we can see that, so we're able to expedite and streamline that process and provide service outside of the DDOT ADA service area by being able to transfer onto Smart Paratransit. Mr. Cunningham had also asked a question in the chat that I see now about the voicemail, the after-hours voicemail for customer complaints. So 2 tickets have been submitted to the IT department. One is for voicemail to be able to capture after-hour complaints, and the other one is the creation of an email that would go directly to our outreach direct service specialist. Also would give people the capability outside of normal business hours to either register a complaint or simply leave contact information. So the direct service specialist who's in charge of the customer complaint process could then reach back out to individuals so that we make sure that we get information on the complaint and log it into our complaint log.
Okay, great. I have one additional question about New Freedom. How does that work in relation to the providers? If someone requests a ride on New Freedom, are the same providers that are providing service in the city, around the city, used for New Freedom, or is there a separate contractor that provides service for New Freedom?
Yeah, currently we're not providing trips under New Freedom, and so the way the New Freedom program had been structured in the past was it was paid on a per trip basis, which was consistent with the way that all the service providers, those that provided the complimentary paratransit service, were reimbursed. When the contract for People's Express, which was a 5-year contract for 30% of the service, was approved, that was on a per trip basis. The emergency procurement contracts for the other 4 service providers, Big Star, Checker, Delray, and Mo, those were on a revenue hour basis. And the RFP that's scheduled to close tomorrow is also reimbursed on a revenue hour basis. So that's one of the things that we're trying to work out as we look at a redesign for New Freedom is, do we want to continue to reimburse service providers on a per trip basis, or does it make sense to do it on a revenue hour basis?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure you all are working for the greater good, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Franklin. There's one last first-time hand up, call-in user 2.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Good evening. I'd like to make a suggestion. Freedom Services needs to be able to pick up in Royal Oak, Ferndale, and all of Dearborn, Taylor areas. That would be nice. I also would like to know, when are you going to have a different location where you can remove your disabled vans under the reduced fares? I don't feel safe coming to your downtown Rosa Parks Transit Center. You have an employee that now works in the daytime that's been sexually harassing me for the last 6 years, and I've filed complaints on him with Federal Transit as well as City Council, and I've sent pictures over to Don Lozen as well as C.T. Miguel Oglesby. Finally, in question, when are you going to increase the service for the Dexter, as it is skipping after 6:30 p.m., skipping into 8 o'clock where it's not showing up at 7, and that's leaving many of us, at mid-grade. I'd like to also add that you can't get professional, courteous service when you deal with the 88 freaking zero switch metro lift without this individual over talking to you when you go to make a complaint, and that's highly offensive. I'd like to know, when are you going to correct some of these issues? Can you tell me a time frame? Can you hear me?
We are having a bit of difficulty hearing you.
Okay, I was saying, I would like to see better service increase for the Dexter bus line. I hope that the Freedom bus will start going into the cities of Ferndale, Royal Oak, covering all of Dearborn and even into Taylor, making them better accessible for those of us that are disabled. I think when you try to make a complaint to your ADA coordinator, this gentleman loves to overtalk you and he's very short patient, and that shouldn't be for those of us with disabilities. And I'd like to know, when are you going to open up another site where people can renew their badges? That's for a reduced fare, so they're not limited to coming to the Rosa Parks Transit Center. As I do not feel safe based on you've had an employee that has threatened me, and I've been complaining about it since last year.
That is time.
Yeah, hi, Tony Vincent here from operations. I think I can answer a few of those questions. I know you had mentioned the service for Dexter, increasing that, and then looking at some other areas. I know Steve Patrick might be able to talk a little bit more about our DDOT Reimagined program and how you can give input on that. I thought I heard part of an issue with something with the transit center over in Rosa Parks with an individual. If you're having any issues with anyone, please report those and call those in for complaints so we can investigate those. If I missed anything else, I apologize.
Okay, and all we can say about DDOT Reimagined is this time is that there are opportunities to be involved in phase 2. We've already had phase 1, so phase 2 outreach will be starting next month. So please look out on the websites, and we'll probably put up some car cards and some other information out there to encourage you to become involved in that.
And I think there was a question about the Dexter bus. Was there a question about the Dexter bus? Is that what they said?
What was the question about the Dexter bus? I'm sorry.
Maybe not. I thought that's what I heard. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard. I couldn't quite get.
Okay.
Yeah, from what I heard, Steve, she asked for increased service on Dexter.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, right now we want to make sure we fill everything in the schedule. That's our priority, and we want to fill everything in the schedule. We'll have an improved schedule coming out with both branches being served on all the trips starting April. And in the DDOT Reimagined plan, there are changes to the Dexter route, so you might want to look into that when we start the phase 2 involvement.
Right. We'll make sure that we have Dexter on the flow, so we'll figure that part out. Thank you.
And Kristen, was that our last new hand?
Everybody's had the chance to comment once, yes.
Okay, great. And I know we have, so looking at 6:23, Steve, it looks like we already have you spotlighted. I'm going to give you an opportunity to provide your information. Don't go anywhere. Your information you want to share about the.
Okay, yeah. So one thing on April 26th, there's going to be a closure of Woodward due to a training exercise. And so this closure will be from morning till early afternoon. And the training exercise involves a simulation of multi security events going on at the same time. There are ball games at Ford Field, Little Caesars, and Comerica Park, all going on at the same time. So that's what they're simulating. So that will involve a closure of Woodward on the 26th, but also the organizers of this event are looking for volunteer actors who can be members of the public, and including disabled people. They're encouraging disabled people who are interested. You also get free meal out of this, free refreshments. So anyway, if you are available, please, since the time's running out, you can just give your contact information to Iobami, and she can forward that to me. And then I'll tell you how you can get involved in that. It's volunteer. There's no pay, but like I said, it might be fun, and they'll give you some goodies out of that. So it might be a good time. So some of us will also be involved in that training exercise. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Steve. And again, if there is anyone interested, you can email me, as he mentioned, ayotor@detroitmi.gov. And any remaining time, you can also place it in the chat. And we will be, for any comments that were not answered yet tonight, we will be going through this and we'll provide updates at a later time. Any other, before I turn it over to Mr. Oglesby to close us out, any other from our staff who has any announcements or last words?
Yeah, I did have something really quick. I'm sorry. So I noticed in the chat that it seemed like it wasn't going out to everybody, but Ms. Ivy, I saw that you had a concern. The first thing I want to say is that those bumpers have already reached out to try to get them fixed. The second part is that you're right. The accessibility on the app, I'm meeting with Token Transit tomorrow to address yours and Ms. Marguerite's concerns about that. And Renard, again, we were trying to get through the transition of the mobile app. So we are looking at all different types of passes that are options. And Ms. Ivy, I saw that you had a concern about State Paratransit. If you'd like to reach out, my email address is my first name, RIKI.Yamakura, my last name, YAMAKURA @DetroitMI.gov. And I would definitely be interested in addressing it. I don't recollect what the question was, but I saw in the chat. So if you'd like to reach out, more than welcome to. I can't seem to put stuff in the chat, but yeah, if you can. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. All right, looks like are you ready, Mr. Oglesby? Can close this out?
I'm always ready. First of all, thank you, everybody, for giving us the opportunity to listen to you. I hope that over the years, and more importantly, the past few months, you realize that we hear you and we take your concerns seriously. It's being reflected in the changes that are taking place in fixed route. It's being reflected in the changes that are taking place in paratransit. Your support has helped us move forward with supporting the transit police to get them to the level that they not only need to be, that they deserve. Everybody knows when I first came here, I want the police force to be doubled. But I guess we have to get up to our budgeted number first before we get to that part. We're serious about our craft and we're serious about providing transportation to you. So we are going to continue to listen. We are going to continue to take notes, and we're going to improve service, and we're going to keep going at it until you see. I know some of you have mentioned that you've seen a change in our service. That's because we've worked very hard to try to do the best that we can with what we have, knowing that if we make it efficient today, and then we add additional operators, it'll be nothing but uphill from here. So thank you, everybody. Happy to hear from you, and have a very blessed and nice night.
Thank